not focusing anymore. Hello. Bonjour. Mais c'est incroyable. Pourquoi ça focus pas? Wait guys, this is so funny. Hello. Okay, I'm going back. Okay, now it's working. I'm starting to like get used to this camera. I've just had the most busiest few weeks with my thesis deadline. There was just a lot of different things that happened and I just did not have any time whatsoever. But as promised, I am gonna do this video now because I do want to give you guys some tips. As of a life update on my end, I have just submitted the thesis. I basically have like one last thing to do now, which is the oral component, which is basically like you go in front of like a panel and you talk about your thesis and you give your arguments, blah blah blah, and then they ask you questions about your thesis for 40 minutes. If I have to talk about it, I honestly, I do not know what to expect. I am so scared. I do not do well with like oral stuff. Like I am so much better at written. Like if you put me in front of a computer and give me a topic, I will bash out an essay in an hour, but answering questions, I feel like I'm just so much better at expressing my opinions by written, so it's gonna be a little bit tough, but we'll see. By the way guys, like there's a lot of questions, so I'm having to like sum up like the main things, topics. If there are things that I haven't answered, let me know. I usually read my DMs. I have like a lot of features set up on them because I have some crazy people out there, so there's some like buzzwords which mean that the messages get filtered, so I never see them, but usually if it's to do with studying, I'll get the message, so please feel free to send it. Okay, let's do this. So the first thing I'm gonna start with, study technique and productivity. For me, I have a very specific study routine. I've said this in the past and I'll say it again. You really, in order to be consistent and get high grades, you have to keep like a whole level of work. So you can't just cram it. In my opinion, cramming it does work if you're good under pressure. I can be good under pressure, but I do think that you will never be able to achieve the highest grades unless you keep consistent. And that is done by making sure in your weekly plan that you are covering the topics of that week throughout the week. You are always staying on top of your work. When you have a class, you prepare for that class. Like you have to make sure that you're on top of things, because there's literally no point in you going to that class if you haven't prepared for it. Then don't go and literally catch up. Like that's my mentality. Like if I haven't prepared for a class, I will not go. You want to be doing at least 40 hours a week of studying. And I know that sounds a lot, and I appreciate that not everyone is able to do that. When I was studying during my undergrad, I worked 40 hours a week as a waitress. So between that, going to class and studying, you don't really get to have that much time. So I appreciate it, like that it's very hard to keep up those kind of hours. So sometimes you do kind of have to front load. It is possible, because I've done it, I'm aware of that. It's possible if you decide to sacrifice certain things. And I know it sucks because you're young, and it's, for me, like it's a really big thing as well. Like I want to go out, I want to party, I have all my friends want to invite me to all these things, and I want to go every single night. I have the biggest FOMO ever. And you know, if you're in a relationship as well, like you have to kind of prioritize, and it sucks. Like you end up not being able to see that person or see your friends, but you will thank yourself, and it really depends where your motivations lie. But if you want to succeed, you want to academically succeed, then you're going to have to sacrifice, and it's a sacrifice that does pay off, and it's incredibly rewarding. Is if you have a job, you've got school, you've got homework, friends, etc., you have to just find a good balance. And the way I do it personally is I have like a little study plan that I make. I might be able to show it to you. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a little bit how this works. So this is my assignment tracker for my finals, like my university one where it's just consolidating. Here I have my subjects, and then I have all the different things I need to revise, the status, the amount of time it's going to take me, the start date, and when it's due. And basically that's kind of how I do it. This is like when it's done, I get done and it goes grey. So that's kind of how it works. When you have like a, wait, I'm going to turn my camera back around. When you have like a consolidation week, it is the best week to just go over things that you have not been able to brush over. So that's how I do it. It is all about consistency, making a schedule, making sure you stick to that schedule, and honestly it works the best that way. I just want to take a minute because when it is 4 p.m. right now. I started filming my video at like 3 o'clock. It is dark outside. So my best study techniques. For me, the best study technique when you are trying to learn new information, so this is for new information, is, let's say you've got a chapter of a book you need to read. That chapter, first of all, you put your phone away. That is, okay, I'm going to start with that because I feel like that's like the biggest thing for everyone. This is our problem with our generation. This thing is the bane of my existence. I spend so much time on it and it makes me so, like, it reduces my productivity levels by half all the time. It is unbearable. However, I've told this before, and if you follow me on TikTok, you've seen this. I have this fantastic app called Focus Lock. You start the lock on the app, you select the apps that you want to be locked out of. So mine are Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, all the big ones that you spend hours on. Then you select the task duration. So I always put an hour. I don't put more than an hour. I think an hour is enough time. I think less than an hour makes you less productive. Give yourself an hour, put an hour, press lock. Your phone will lock you out of all of those apps. There is no way you'll go on your phone because your brain is always like, you know, oh, let me check my phone. But then you'll remember, oh, wait a minute, I can't go on my apps. So you'll put it back down and you'll go back to your task. And that's how you trick your brain into being more productive and not procrastinating. So you do that and you do an hour and then you take a break. And I think that that's really important as well, is that you take breaks throughout your studying. In order to be better, you have to reward yourself. So if you study hard, you reward yourself, you reward your brain, you take some time, go on a walk, have a snack, get some chocolate. That's what I do, I love it, and it works, you know, and then you go back, put your focus lock back on, another hour, bam. And you end up, I mean, for me, the sessions are long, like I've spent hour, all in the same day, and you end up doing like 6-7 hours total of studying straight with 30-minute interval breaks. How I deal with procrastination when I'm in a public setting, like a library or something like that. So study techniques, say you've got a chapter, now you've got the focus lock on, ideal. No one's disturbing you, you're in a library setting. You've got your chapter, you're going to read the entire chapter with a highlighting pen. You're going to highlight. But you're going to really read it to understand it. Take your time. Highlight, read, highlight. Finish the chapter, take a break. Go back at it, get your laptop, get your chapter next to it, type up your notes, go through it with the highlighted sections, and start summarizing it. And it is the best way to be able to understand something to its core. Thank you. Okay, my next thing is tricks to stay consistent and motivated while studying. So for me, I work in a very specific way, and I think that this is where different people will differ depending on your personality. For me, I grew up, I was bullied a lot as a kid, and I had people constantly telling me that I wasn't going to succeed in life, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty tough stuff. But what it did was that I managed to make like a complete mind shift in like the way that I responded to bullies and to people bullying me. And it's a mindset that I've taken into my adulthood and that works incredibly well for me. And it is that everything that everyone tells you not to do is a chance for you to prove them otherwise. So the way that I stay motivated is reminding myself of how many people want me to fail or how many people don't believe in me, and my ability to prove them wrong by showing them that I have it in me. And it's been a great motivator, like, because you kind of find yourself, you're going to have setbacks in life, like we all have setbacks in life. I have had many setbacks, I've had many times where I failed things, and I've been rejected from a bunch of applications, and it does get to you at a certain point. You're like, whoa, okay, maybe I'm not made for this, like okay, bye. But you will see through life that those who actually succeed are those that never give up. I'm not even joking, like you have to be delusional with yourself. When somebody tells you you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you see their like way of being and their criticisms of you, and you've got to be delusional to the point where you're like, this is my chance to prove you wrong. I am now going to prove you wrong because you don't believe in me, but I believe in myself. Your opinion means nothing to me.
I'm going to show you that I'm going to succeed. Make that your drive. When you are studying and when you are losing track because there's so much to go through, you have so many exams coming up, you don't have the motivation, you don't understand something, remind yourself, why am I doing this? I'm doing this not only for myself, for me to be able to succeed in life because I want to be the best version of myself, but also to prove all of those people that have never believed in you or who don't think that you're capable, who don't think that you're their equal. The minute that you set your mind into proving people wrong, proving yourself right, that is when the shift happens and that's when the motivation kicks in. But there's also a very big part of it, and this is you know, you really have to get into that mindset. And it took me a lot of time, by the way. It did not come easy. It's not like I've been like a straight A student from I don't know, the age of 6 years old and I was like, you know, top of my class always. No. Like, it took me some time, but you have to create fake discipline from the get-go. Like, if you are not somebody who likes routines or sticking to routines, you have to impose them on yourself. You have to stick to those routines. Once you stick to those routines and you start building on them and you remind yourself, you become invincible. Okay guys, the next thing I'm going to talk about is how to prepare for an exam. You're going to make sure that all of your notes for that exam are in the same document. What that means is that you kind of have your own mind palace. You understand everything in that document. If there's something you don't understand, highlight it in yellow and then keep going for your thing. Go through the entire document, get rid of messiness, make it nice, like make it nice to look at, because it's really important that if it's messy, then your mind is also messy. So you want to make sure that your notes are clean and structured. If you don't understand a term, you're going to highlight it. Once that you've done that, and this is kind of like where people have different ways of dealing with things. For me, I like to get flashcards. So what you're going to do is you're going to get, you know, there's like little flashcards, they're like this big. Put the term on one side, the definition or the explanation for it, or the argument on the other side. And you're going to make, I don't know, 30 of them. Pack them up, put them aside, go and relax for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Go on a walk, make some food, have a snack. Then you're going to come back and you're going to play a game with yourself where you're going to look at the flashcard, you're going to speak to yourself out loud and say, this is it, explain the term, explain why it's relevant, and then the definition, which will be on the back. If you don't know it, turn it around, read it, put it down. Keep going. Do it. And you're going to make 2 different piles, those you got right and those you got wrong. And you're going to keep going until the pile of wrongs goes into the pile of rights. And come back and you're going to do it again. And you're going to see how quickly you are able to process all that information and remember it. It works like a charm, in my opinion. A lot of people have been kind of interested in knowing a little bit more about what I'm studying right now, what I'm doing, and kind of like how I got into it. So I thought I would give you guys like a little sum up. I did my undergrad, so my bachelor's degree in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. And so I lived in Amsterdam for 3 years and I did my bachelor's there. I studied philosophy and politics and I did a minor in law. The minor that I did in law was human rights law, so it's very different from what I'm doing now. The way it works in England is you can basically study anything you want as an undergrad, and then you can do this thing called a law conversion. Ouais, ok. Bizarre. Apologies guys. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah, so the law conversion is basically 8 months where you do all of the different subjects that you would have done undergrad in law in the span of 8 months. So they're very intensive courses, and it gives you the same kind of qualification if you've done an undergrad in law. So you do that, and then once you're done, you and everyone who studied law, who wants to become a barrister or a solicitor, then go into their second year basically at these universities. So in that second year you do exams, either you pass the bar to become a barrister, or you pass the SQE, which is the solicitor's exam, if you want to become a solicitor. And these universities, they're very expensive. Like, there are, for the 8 months, it was like £15,000 for 8 months of studying, which is a lot of money, like it's crazy. And to do the SQE is like £20,000, so they're very expensive. So what happens is a lot of students, they do internships or they apply directly to big law firms, and if you're good enough, or if the law firm likes you, then you get this thing called a training contract. And what a training contract is the law firms, they pay for your studies, and in exchange of that you then work for them afterwards and you train with them for 2 years, and then you become a qualified lawyer. So that's what I'm doing. I am very lucky that I have a law firm that have paid for my studies, and I will be working for them once I'm done with the second component, which is the SQE, and I will become a corporate lawyer basically at the end of that. If people are interested in finding out kind of how I got a training contract, how I passed my PGDL, I'm happy to make another video, or if you want to just DM me directly, I can give you some tips.